Before we jump into all of the latest on your Falcons, we got some shout outs to give here on the channel. So shout out to Jose, shout out to Aaron. Thank you guys so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter. And if you want to get a shout out on a future show, help grow this channel by sharing today's video, sending it to a friend, a family member, or putting it on social media. And if you share it to Twitter, make sure to tag producer Rolly at Nick_Roloff, and he will get you a shout out on a future Falcons show. What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here. 10 days away from the NFL Draft. It is no longer around the corner. We can ditch that cliche. It is in our sights. It is in front of us. We can almost reach out and grab it. So with that, we've got some draft rumors to hit on at the back half of today's show. But first, Terry Fontenot, he was busy once again. He made another signing. This one coming in from Michael Rothstein, who tweeted out, the Falcons are signing reserve offensive tackle Ethan Greenidge. His agent at whatever tweeted, Greenidge comes from the Saints, so another New Orleans Saints player coming over, where he played in 15 career games. After last season, where Atlanta became Chicago South, this year has been New Orleans East, right? When you had Ryan Pace come down from the Bears, he brought half of his old players with him, and now you've got Ryan Nielsen coming over to be the DC, and he brought David Onyemata, Caden Ellis, and the list goes on, and now you can toss in the former Villanova Wildcat, Ethan Greenidge. So, career 49 total snaps. This is an absolute training camp body. Make no mistake, he is not a lock to make the roster or anything like that. He is coming in to provide some depth and just provide some training camp battles to make the 53. His career PFF grades, there's not a ton out on them, but in case you're wondering, like we said, 59 career snaps in 15 games, 50 overall grade, 49 pass blocking, 49 run blocking. He's going to have to fight for a roster spot for sure. And if he makes it, he is simply going to be, I don't know, the 7th, 8th, 9th offensive lineman on this depth chart here. The Falcons' offensive line is actually pretty good. I think this is one of those units where if you're a casual Falcons fan, you might not realize that when the season kicks off, they are going to be people movers. Now, if you're a diehard Falcons fan, which I know you are because you're watching right now in the, I don't know, not the peak of the offseason, but we're still a little bit outside of the NFL Draft for even the casuals to tune in. But hey, you add some guys to this room, it's going to be a really good offensive line, especially if they make an improvement at the left guard position. So be honest with me. Have you even heard of this guy before? Or better yet, did you know Villanova had a football team? I did, because I took Penn State minus -1,000,000 last year when they played, or 2 years ago against Villanova, because that's when I discovered Villanova had a football team, and the audacity on the Wildcats to cover. So I knew Villanova had a football team. I had never heard of this guy before. Be honest, it is the pinned comment, so scroll on down and let me know. So with that, we have this tweet from our Saints guy here at Chat Sports. I do appreciate delusional NFL fans. You have to be somewhat delusional in the offseason to get yourself psyched up and pumped up for the upcoming season if you're not supposed to be a contender. But Trizzy Trace is tweeting out Atlanta Saints. So you know what? If you hate the Big Easy and you hate the New Orleans Saints, spam F Trace. I remember going to New Orleans for the Saints-Rams NFC Championship game. I was with one of my best buds from college, Will, and he's a diehard Falcons fan, born and raised in Atlanta, and he was smiling with a huge grin on his face when the PI call was a no call, and he was the only one in the entire state celebrating. So if you're with Will and you hate the Saints, spam F Trace down in the comment section. All right, let's get on to some draft buzz right now. Adam Schefter tweeting out, Georgia defensive tackle Jalen Carter is visiting the Atlanta Falcons today. He then will have visited each team picking 5 through 10, Seahawks, Lions, Raiders, Falcons, Bears, and Eagles. So one of the top NFL draft prospects is just going from Athens to Atlanta or wherever he is training right now. And clearly the Falcons are doing their due diligence, as they should, I'm sure they'd be delighted to see Jalen Carter fall to them at number 8. It's a bit of a long shot, I think. I don't see him getting past Seattle at number 5, but this is the NFL draft we're talking about. If anyone tells you that anything is an absolute outside of the first overall pick, which even that right now isn't a guaranteed thing, look at them with 3 eyes, because the NFL draft is always a bunch of parity and chaos. So if Jalen Carter starts to slip, yeah, him and Grady Jarrett, that'd be an awesome defensive line for years to come. Make sure to subscribe, by the way, if you have not already. We keep you guys informed and entertained on all things Atlanta Falcons, so never miss a beat when you are subbed to the channel. Now, Carter, we know, has had a very bad, and horrible is not even doing it justice, I think, pre-draft process, right? He had an arrest warrant go out for an alleged involvement in a fatal car accident that unfortunately happened at UGA following the national championship. And then at his pro day, he showed up out of shape, overweight, and did not look like he was ready to impress the best of the NFL as someone who was originally supposed to be the number 1 pick, or I don't know, the number 1 prospect in this draft. Now, we'll throw Carter's stats on the screen from last season. I am not here to sell you guys on Jalen Carter. At this point, everyone has pretty much made up their mind on whether or not he would be a good investment for an NFL team. If you can take away the, I can't even quite say off the field issues just yet, because we haven't actually seen him play in the NFL, but he's not trending in the right direction of being a headache-free player. He's a can't-miss prospect. He is going to be an absolute one-man wrecking crew on the defensive line. I will not give him an Aaron Donald comp, but he has that rare blend of you're too good to be a run stopper and an elite pass rusher, all working on the defensive line. Usually the best run stoppers, they're too big to get after the quarterback. Or the best edge rushers, they're not big enough to work on the inside of the defensive line. Jalen Carter, he's got it all. So will he be there at number 8? That is the number 1 question here. There's a lot of buzz about the Seahawks drafting Jalen Carter, but who knows? Seattle, like every single year in the NFL draft, could send some shockwaves. What if they go Tyree Wilson, and then you see a bit of a run of quarterbacks, even though I don't really think that's going to happen, and all of a sudden the Falcons are sitting there thinking, we might be the New Orleans Pelicans and get Zion somehow, when no one expected us to have that type of odds going into this draft here. So be the GM. If Jalen Carter is there at number 8, do you want to draft him? Are you able to, I wouldn't even say stomach, but, accept the risk that appears to be out there with Carter and his rocky pre-draft process so far? I think I am. He's just too good of a player to pass up on. And we're talking about the National Football League here. This country runs around football. So if a player's good at it, the rest will get figured out more often than not. That's just the society we live in. Now, some more pre-draft process here. Cameron Wolfe tweeting out, Anthony Richardson finished his Titans visit yesterday and headed to Atlanta, where he's at today with the Falcons on a 3:30 visit. Per source, Ravens are tomorrow. Final in-person visit. We don't care about the rest. So Anthony Richardson is coming to the Falcons for a pre-draft visit. They are both visiting the same day. Clearly, we are getting into crunch time here before the NFL draft. I have made my stance on Anthony Richardson pretty clear at this point. I am not a fan of Anthony Richardson. I just do not think he is going to be a first-round worthy quarterback in the NFL. I hate the people that say, guys, he's the next Cam Newton. You know what Cam Newton did in college? Win a Heisman, win a national championship, and complete more than 53.8% of his passes. The Falcons, I hope, will not draft Anthony Richardson. Terry, I know you're watching, so come a little closer to the camera. Do not draft Anthony Richardson. I would rather see this team play with Desmond Ridder next year, which we know that I've never been a huge believer in Desmond Ridder, at least compared to the idea of getting Lamar Jackson, but we've talked about that enough. I'd rather see what you can do with Desmond Ridder and take that number 8 overall pick and just go best player available on defense or offense. Could even be Bijan Robinson, heck. I'd rather go that route than drafting Anthony Richardson. I am just not sold on the Florida Gator. Now, Dav, who is a mystery man, tweeting out, the Falcons' dream scenario for the 2023 draft would be to pick Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, source tells NFL Draft Scout. The source told Miller that the team is comfortable with Desmond Ridder and will only pick a QB in the top 10 if it's Young or Stroud. They currently pick at number 8. If this is true, this is quite interesting, and I want to do a video about this later on in the week, so let me know in the comment section if you think we should. But there is some buzz out there about the Texans wanting to trade back from number 2. Okay, well, who could be interested in moving up to get a quarterback? The Indianapolis Colts. But wait, that wouldn't work. They're in the same division of Houston. Okay. Tennessee Titans. Same roadblock for Indy. So all of a sudden you go, well, Seattle likes Geno Smith. At least they paid him to like him enough. The Raiders just signed Jimmy G. All of a sudden the Falcons at number 8 might be the next team who could viably jump up to number 2 if they really do love CJ Stroud and Bryce Young and are comfortable with drafting either player that the Panthers do not take. So this could be something to monitor here. So Bryce Young is, I feel like, a lock, all but at least at number 1. Originally it was Bryce Young, then CJ Stroud. We're back to Bryce Young. Could the Falcons trade up to get CJ Stroud? I think it would be better to sit tight at number 8 and go best player available. And if things do not work out well in 2023 with Desmond Ridder, hello Drake May, hello Caleb Williams, go get that guy. Now, when you look at their career stats, we'll start with CJ Stroud. From 2021 to 2022, he was still one of the best quarterbacks in college football. 44 touchdowns. And we're talking 85 touchdowns combined and 12 interceptions. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of CJ Stroud as a player, but he is a very good, calm, collective pocket passing quarterback. There it is. So, week and a half until the draft. It is time to buckle up and get ready for some really crazy NFL draft rumors, because the NFL, they want it this way. They do not want the first and second pick to already be known before it gets started. That just waters down the entertainment and the interest level from the entire NFL fan base. So they're going to do their best to make sure these types of rumors start spreading so it gains interest and people are tuning in for the draft. So just because you see it, don't actually think, well, that's a concrete fact right now. Just keep that in the back of your head. All right, that is it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in, hanging out with us here on a Tuesday afternoon. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see everyone later.